What's up, everybody? Lou from Hypocritic here at the Mix Fall Game Showcase here in Seattle, Washington. We are here with Chris from Good Story Guild, once again catching up on Cat Secretary. Thanks so much for taking some time again.
Kidding. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's great to see familiar faces while we're figuring this whole thing out.
Great to see you again, too. So we last saw you at PAX East
Yep.
in May in Boston. Catch us up on the past few months of development on Cat Secretary.
Hilariously, all the bugs that we learned about during PAX East, we've been trying to squash them, and as I was joking about you before getting on camera, and of course some of them still have popped up again as we've been learning about how hard it is to make a game. But yeah, there's been a lot of progress these last few months in a way that kind of exponential. One of the cool things we did at PAX East was we did an open casting call for people and got about 500 different auditions, which one of our casting director had to go through and vet everyone and check every audition tape and do that whole thing. But we've now recorded 90% of our VO, which has been stressful, and unfortunately didn't get it into the game for this demo, so can't show it off. But yeah, we keep trucking along. We keep adding little things, more mini games for the day shift. Our quests for the night shift, kind of branching out. We now have our ability system in, so you have your Metal Gear Solid styles box to hide in to avoid robots, decoys to throw out and distract them. Slowly but surely, we're kind of adding more building blocks and building more of this game.
Slowly but surely.
Oh yeah, seriously.
That's the key there. For those who maybe are not as in tune for it or aren't aware yet, can you sum up the whole idea of Cat Secretary?
Absolutely. So in Cat Secretary, you are a cat down on their luck, homeless, living on the street, and in the middle of the rain one day, you happen upon a newspaper that has a job application at a media company called Docs, kind of our fake Disney-like conglomerate. And looking for a roof over your head, you decide, gainful employment might be the best way to make that happen. So you sneak into that company and you hire yourself through their portal. Now, of course, because you're a cat, that creates some problems, but it turns out this company's had a hiring freeze on people, and it's slowly being taken over, and humans are being phased out for robots and AI take over. And with that weird loophole of you not being a human, you get to become the secretary as a cat, and in the day shift of the game, you are working your secretarial job. You're making coffee for your fellow employees, you're making sure that the files are sorted for everyone's job positions, helping people, get candy out of the vending machine that's stuck, and boosting staff morale. And then in the night, you're sneaking around, snooping on the goings-ons of the company, and slowly but surely trying to right the wrong of this AI robotic corporate takeover to make it a human-centric business again.
Very satirical, very tongue-in-cheek, with a lot of humor and very well written. Present across all of the demos and all the times that we've seen this title. I want to loop back to the voiceover casting call that you had at PAX East. Incredibly novel idea, something I don't think I've ever seen before at a show of any size like that, and an incredible response and uptake from the community and players at the show. Tell us a little bit more about how that went for you.
Yeah, that was, we had so many people come by just because they saw that kind of little press release. We put it out on Twitter, Reddit, stuff like that, and well, we thankfully had a lot of attention because of the art style. We're lucky being a cat game. Thankfully, a lot of people love cats. But yeah, I would say about half of the people who came by the booth that weekend, of which we had a few thousand, all were interested in doing the casting call. Only, I'd say about half of those people who would ask probably submitted, and I get it. They probably maybe got cold feet at the last second, but man, we were not expecting that kind of turnout in terms of auditions. I was joking with the person who's here with me today, Rachel, who had to go through all those auditions. She did not expect for the feedback to be that extreme because she had to go through every one of those auditions. But it was amazing. And when we got to actually have some people, whether they were hired or we just did callbacks with them, the feedback from just hearing people say that not only was it their first chance getting to ever audition for voiceover period, but we had streamers who had never done a job before. We had some people who've been doing voice acting for a very long time who had never had a chance at video games come by. We had some major players in the video game space come by and go, this sounds so cool, I love what you guys are doing, what a crazy idea, could I also audition? It was the full spectrum in a way we just never planned for. But yeah, outside of saying I was shocked by it in the best way possible, I kind of don't know what else to say because it's something we were talking about off camera before we started. Of this is such PAX, whether it's here at the Mix, whether it's PAX East where that all went down. It is such a welcoming, kind community of fans and people who are just excited about games, and the fact that people saw our thing or saw our casting call and the excitement to just try it out. And even people who didn't get hired that we had feedback with afterwards saying, sorry, it didn't work out this time, but we have other projects, game related or for some of our scripted stuff. And they were just thrilled that they got a chance to audition. And it's something I relate to as an actor of a decade of how many projects I've thrown my hat in the ring for and never heard anything back or gotten the chance to audition for. It's that weird thing of we kind of should have expected it to go that way, but we were just taking a shot and seeing what would happen. And the fact that, again, we got that feedback was insane in the best way possible.
So gratifying, it sounds like, and an incredible response. And indicative of a lot of what you see at shows like PAX, the broader gaming community, want to see projects like this succeed. Smaller scale indie titles, creative, unique ideas, and are willing to support that however possible, including, participating in it themselves, which is exciting, and often, takes a certain type of mind to do, but it's great when you're able to have that sort of involvement.
Totally.
Coming from that sort of environment, another thing people typically love to do is give feedback.
Yes, they
talk
do.
about their experience,
and
whether
rightly so.
Yeah, and whether positive or negative, you will get a lot of that from these kinds of trade shows. How are you taking the lessons you learned from PAX East and people playing Cat Secretary to inform and improve the last few months of development and whatever's on the road ahead?
Genuinely, we took copious notes from every play. Usually, with the way we ran PAX East, we had about 4 of us there. 2 to 3 of us were running the booth with regularity in the 3 kiosks, and our 4th person was watching the line, but was also always a built-in thing of, hey, we just saw them do this, and they broke the game this way. We need to make sure we fix that. Or a lot of times people would say, hey, I think you should change something, or like, this game didn't work for me. An example being we have a mini game built around a router, and originally it was very Simon Says-y. And that was very much a prototype concept that it worked, so we hadn't really gone back to it in a while when we had gotten to PAX East. And understandably so, a little too simple. We got a lot of feedback about, yeah, it's fine. That was the nice way of saying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's that thing of, we could have been, and at first I think, at first blush we kind of wanted to be like, no, they don't know what we're trying to do. But the good thing about, like you said, getting all that feedback is, if it's not one voice or 2 voices is an anecdote. But when you get feedback that's that consistent, when you have so many people, heck, we've already had a few people break our demo like crazy today, but that's so useful because suddenly you go, all right, we internally think of the game this way. We approach the level design that we've put together in a very specific way because we know how it should be played according to how it was designed. But everyone else doesn't know that. So if they're not seeing it the way we do in our head, we're wrong. I mean, I'm being a little binary to make the point, but we are wrong. If we think it's supposed to happen one way, but players in their feedback of what we're watching aren't actually going through with that same thing that we have in our head, well then we're either not telegraphing facts correctly. That's a big thing. We have a lot of now waypoints in the game to help show players where to go. And it's a system that we're still working on. It's not flawless, but that came about from what we experienced at PAX East of, okay, people like the world we've built, they like elements of it, but we're making it too hard for them to get to things. Or we're making it too hard for them to find what we think is obvious. And it's obvious to us because we made it, and we've been messing with it for years now. But someone who's in the first time, if we haven't simplified that process for them, if we haven't given better cue markers, and that could be, it's not here in this demo, but our opening prologue, which is in an alley, when you sneak into this company. Well, we started spotlighting a lot of things with actual lighting a lot more to help telegraph the path the player should take. And those are things that we always wanted to get to it eventually, but when you see players getting lost, man, how useful is that to then suddenly be like, okay, it is very clear in this chunk of the level, it isn't working. So what can we do? So when you, to your question of like, what have we changed since then? something like that router, it's now a little bit of a rhythm game rather than Simon Says. So it's the same logic behind it for sure, but the actual gameplay has now totally changed, and the feedback so far has been, oh wow, this is so much more fun, and now I actually want to engage with this one. Something like our file sorting game, which is a great core concept, but we need to have what's the next step when you upgrade it. And we've been struggling actually with some of these games of like, well, what is that next step? And someone came by and was like, well, what if you added a shredder so that they're bad files? And so we're now working on that because that was a great idea. And inherently, sometimes when you're head down on something, you get stuck in the box a little bit of trying to, what was the original design doc? What was our original concept? We really have to be married to it. And PAX East really helped us widen our perspective on what we were doing and what was possible and how we could tweak things and really make sure we're focusing on the player feedback and not just what we think is good. Because inherently, we're often actually wrong.
It is such an interesting dynamic to be able to have this idea in your head of what the game is going to look like and how it plays, go out, put it into the world, and find out that radically different approaches are often the case with how people play it. Such a unique perspective when people get their hands on it like that at events like PAX East, or in this case, the Mix's Fall Game Showcase. So briefly, can you touch on how you ended up working with the Mix and getting the game out here in Seattle to display at this show in particular?
So we, our wonderful marketing man, Alex, basically put us in the hat. We submitted, I think a couple months ago, just, as someone, we heard about it at PAX East, and we're like, oh, that sounds like a cool event. We would love to be involved. And at the beginning of August, we got an email out of the blue that was like, hey, you've been accepted to the Mix. And so then that became I guess we're going to Seattle. So hilariously, we are here just for this one-off event, and we're not actually attending PAX West this time. But yeah, it's so crazy, because I know you're going to be interviewing other people on this floor, but the games that are available here, it's a really special little scope of 15, and it's genuinely weird. And again, the compliment that's hard to take from the feedback side of things, of like, we have crazy imposter syndrome with some of these games that are here today that are absolutely astonishing. And so when you ask, how did we get into this, kind of it feels like a weird luck fate thing. But thankfully Rachel and I were able to get a flight and figure it out. Unlike with PAX, where we were prepared with, we're going to have monitors, we're going to have this. We rented a monitor. Thankfully, the game is running and not breaking on her laptop, and the keyboards and everything we have plugged in. Someone's playing behind me right now on my personal gamepad for my Xbox, so because that's all we had for a controller, and turns out Best Buy only had like third-party controllers nowadays, so that was not what I was panicking. I was like, oh God, I need things to say official. I want it to work. So this was it was a little bit of a rush, but hey, we're here.
But yeah, here you are, and it comes together however it needs to. And
seriously, man.
And look at it now. So where it goes from here, with release still a fair bit on the horizon, and all the learnings from PAX East, all these different things that you've been trucking along with. What do you foresee the next few months of development on Cat Secretary looking like? From all perspectives, writing, technical development, whatever it is.
So thankfully we're script locked. We will definitely have certain tweaks here or there. When we had our performers in the booth, because we've recorded about 90% of the VO, it was just a couple characters that I'm doing and a couple characters that Rachel, who's also running the booth, has to do, including Oboe. But pretty much everything else has been recorded. That is in the process. Currently, a wonderful sound studio that one of our favorite games from a year ago was Thank Goodness You're Here. And the sound studio, or the engineering team that worked on that, Shell in the Pit, we got in touch with them, and they're helping us with our sound design and whatnot for this game, because, we have a lot of sound engineers, not for video games, it's much more for audio and whatnot, and film and TV, and it's not a full one-to-one. So originally we hoped we would release this fall, but where we're at now, our MVP, kind of minimal viable product for the game of like true start to finish, you could do the main quest. We're on track to have that done in September, so next month, in about 3 weeks. And then from there, we have push that October kind of idea into, I'll use the corporate version, say Q1 of next year. Wow, it's the first time I've done that. That felt dirty. But very much we've now given ourselves 5 months to polish. Because so much of what we have now from our concept and our feature creep and all the rest of it, its core is there now. And now it's making sure it's not broken, it works the way we want it to. And look, I'm sure there will always be jank in the tank that we're not totally aware of, but we're trying to make sure that by the time we release, as much as possible is cleaned up.
There you go. Jank in the tank. I'm going to hold on to
Oh,
that.
please.
That's pretty good.
That's what we say in the inside.
If people want to learn more about Cat Secretary, where can they go and what can they do?
Come by and go to our Steam page. That's our main way to kind of check it out. Wishlist it, please, because as we've now learned making this game, it is crazy how important wishlisting is. So whether it's for us or anything you've ever looked at, whether it's anything else that this wonderful team, Lou and all the rest of them look at, please, if something seems cool, wishlist it. It means the world to devs in a way that we did not realize until we started doing this. So that would be the easiest way. You could also go to goodstoryguild.com. Rachel, is it goodstoryguild.com or .co? Goodstoryguild.co. I totally work for this company, I swear. That's our main webpage. You can find out all about the audio dramas we do, podcasts, scripted, and other stuff. And hey, who knows? We'll probably be putting out casting calls for future things. So, like we said about with this game, stay tuned, follow us on Discord. All our links are on our website, and we put a lot there for anyone when we're doing our casting calls. So please check it out.
And now you know. It's the more you know every time. Chris from Good Story Guild.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Appreciate the time. Keep it tuned here to Hypocritic for more from PAX West and the Mix Fall Game Showcase all weekend long.
Cat Secretary. Cat Secretary.